Hello, sunshines. So it's been an interesting process this week. I am preparing to go to North Carolina, and I was thinking about just the adventures I've been on the last year or so to really support my intention of traveling more and enjoying life. And it made me kind of think about what this idea and desire to travel really comes from. And there's this clear image of when I first immigrated to the US. So I immigrated in 1981. I was 8 with my parents and my younger sister. And what I remember the most so clearly, and it's just kind of ingrained in my thought process and kind of really solidifies a lot of the drive that I have for wanting to travel. So, what I remember is, of course, who knows if this is an exact memory because I was 8, but oftentimes, and in most cases, we have really impactful experiences when we're young that get kind of embedded into our subconscious. And some can be negative and some can be positive, and it's what you and how you choose to label it. For me, being on this giant airplane, I had never flown before. I was super excited, and I definitely did not understand to the scale of what this experience actually meant for me and for my family, and um, how massive it was. For me, it was my small world as an 8-year-old. And so the experience of being in an airport, which I had never been in, the experience of being on a plane, it was super confusing, but super exciting at the same time. And they gave us food. And as you get to know me, I love food. I love to cook. I love to eat. I love everything about food. It's entertainment for me. But you're on this plane as an 8-year-old experiencing all these powerfully new things that you didn't even really understand that it existed. And so I'm on this in this airplane, and I see all these foreigners who do not look like me. And again, this is back in 1981. And very rarely did you see foreigners, people that did not look like me. And I remember walking along the aisles. I remember walking along those aisles and just getting super excited about all these white people that I was seeing. And I don't remember this part, but my mom likes to tell me that I was like just going up to random strangers who I thought were American and just started babbling, pretending that I could communicate with them without any fear. And I would just make up words, like mumbling like a tiny little child, blah, 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 blah. And probably it wasn't blah, blah, blah. It was probably some Korean version of that. But I was making sounds and in my head thinking I was doing an excellent job of communicating. And this was partly because I had practiced my ABCs and I had been able to count from 1 to 10. And thinking back, I probably even pronounced those letters and those numbers incorrectly. But in my 8-year-old self, I thought I was the bomb. I thought I could speak English, and I would just go up to random strangers on this airplane and go blah 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 blah, 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 and just think that I was communicating. And I had the best time. That part I actually do remember. But that was the incredible experience for me, this like possibility, this opportunity to experience something I had never experienced. And I think that is where my dream, my desire, my vision for wanting to travel and explore comes from. And I'm excited and thrilled that I've been able to consciously curate a life so that I can experience these things. And I'm super excited to see as I set my intentions and put my actions towards these intentions, how much more I'll get to explore. So in 2019, I had my first trip to France with my kids. I had very little money saved because I had just been going through a divorce and really taking care of my kids as a single parent alone. And I just felt like it was necessary for me to spend my savings, no matter how scary that was, to take both of my kids to Europe and experience my first European trip. And actually, I think at the time it was both of my kids' first European trip. They've gone other places, but I took both of them to France and for like 10 days and just experienced the arts and the culture and just walked a lot and ate a lot and just enjoyed each other's company. And it's such a great memory. And then COVID hit. So that threw a wrench in not just my lives, but my kids' lives and of course the world, but especially for my kids. The reason I had taken that trip was because I knew they were both going to be in college the next year, and I knew it was just going to get harder and harder to make time so that we can travel together. And I'm so glad we did because then COVID hit, and of course, we were together, but we weren't able to travel for several years during that period. And I just have really good fun memories. And I'm glad I had used up my savings to have that experience with my kids. And then last summer, I got to go to Portugal. And I'm so lucky because I have a friend who lives in Lisbon. And so I was able to do some time in Porto by myself and then go to Lisbon to stay with my friend. And then my boyfriend was able to travel to Portugal, which was his first European trip, and come join me in Lisbon. And we got to spend some time in Lisbon and then down to the Algarves. It was the first time in like 3 years I like took actual days off and not worked. And we got to experience these incredible views and incredible beach life, um, and just enjoyed the sunsets and the food and the culture and the language. And then this year, I had the opportunity in August to go to Amsterdam, which has been on my bucket list. And then in September and part of October, my boyfriend and I spent 13 days traveling to Italy. And so that was, I mean, I can't even explain how incredible that was with all the food and the experiences. And I have a dear friend in the Boulder area that moved and made huge transitions in her life in order to ensure that she could actually permanently move to Bologna, Italy. And it was incredible just visiting her and part of my trip to see the life that she's created for herself. She put a lot of work in. It took years to kind of set that intention and make sure that all the little logistics and the big logistics to actually make that move. And so she's been able to permanently move there this year. She's kind of finished the completion of the actual transition. And so I was able to, on this Italy trip, to just see what she's developed, what she's curated. And she has put so much work into it. And I was really honored to be part of that journey. And for myself, I don't know where life is gonna take me. I feel at this age that I'm really taking more complete ownership and more complete trust in my own abilities to truly curate the life that I want to live. And that's how I've always coached. And I've made adjustments in my life in service of curating the life that I want. And the reality is there's a lot of different variations, and there's a lot of evolution, and there's a lot of going back to the drawing board because you just don't know what life is going to bring. I had no idea that I was going to get divorced. I had no idea I was going to raise my kids alone. And I had no idea there was going to be COVID. So my life definitely is completely different than the life that I thought I was going to have. But the underlining themes and the underlining intentions in the way that I wanted to curate my life is present and always has been. And right now, with being an empty nester and my kids being adults and being able to take care of themselves, which is a great, um, proud moment for me, for them, but also for myself, because I was able to raise two functioning adults, which was always a goal when I decided to have kids. So, yay for me and yay for them. But the choices that I can and have available to me now are very different than I had last year or the year before, and definitely when they were younger. So, I'm very excited about the adventures ahead, and I'm excited about the travels ahead. So for this year, the Amsterdam and Italy trip was huge. And again, I'm going to be going to North Carolina next week for a couple weeks to just spend time with my nieces and nephews so my sister and her husband can travel also to Italy. But I'm thrilled that I've created a life where I can go and work from a different state while taking care of three little kids under the age of 8 and help my sister out, and also to take a little break from, my regular everyday and having a new pace, which excites me. And it's my intention to do this more and more. The next big trip is going to Korea, and I haven't been back to Korea since 2012, and I do speak fluent Korean. Now, granted, it kind of stopped at age 8. However, I grew up in the Washington D.C. area, and I went to an all Korean Catholic church, and we did Saturday school for Korean. So I've been able to keep up and have the language skills, which is great. And I'm just excited to go. I'm hoping that both of my kids will be able to go with me, and my best friend Greg is going to be going and joining me, and my boyfriend Mark will also be joining us. And so we're just kind of curating all the different places we want to go and the experiences. And of course, there's going to be a whole lot of food. And I think it's going to really be something over the next few months, or the next 6 months, that I'm going to be planning it out. Actually, in the new year, I'm going to be starting that planning. And so I'd love for you guys to join me in that, because I do love to plan and I do love to um, work things out. I'm not as restrictive as I used to be, and I am not as rigid as I used to be. Now I kind of have this ability to, and it's something that I really worked very hard to get to this point, like let go of the things that really don't matter, and then make sure that things that really do matter are solidified and organized and structured. But everything else is kind of an exploration, new things, because when you open yourself up to the possibilities of the potential of the opportunities, the universe co-creates and really provides you what you need for your highest good. And I am excited about this adventure. And thank you for letting me share, and thanks for listening. Yeah, I just wanted to really talk about this adventure of travel and the memories I had of where that actually came from. And what I love about this memory too, about being in the airplane when I was 8, is that it's a positive one. Because a lot of the work that I do with clients and on myself, when we do this activity of really figuring out where has this belief or this desire, that whether we're following it now as adults or not, comes from. And sometimes it can be really negative. It can be really something that wasn't great in your life when you were little that kind of you still carry with as an adult. But this love for travel, this excitement, this like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's awesome. That is a positive experience. And I'm really glad that that's what I'm holding on to. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what's next in the next 2, 3, 5 years that's coming up for me around my conscious intention to work towards traveling more and experiencing more in my life. And I'm also excited that I'm sharing this on YouTube and sharing this with random strangers out into the world because I think it's important. I'm having to adjust the way that I do things, the way that I spend money, the way that I find importance, my priorities in order to be in service of this next stage of my life. And I love the forcing of myself to get over the fears that I have around travel. It is definitely getting easier every single time I travel. The fear of not doing it right or getting lost. Thank goodness we do have the technology we do have now, which is helpful. And this intention and these actions that it takes to organize these events totally satisfies me because I'm a planner and an organizer. And then I'm also learning these new skills of not um, taking things too seriously, not making it so restrictive and so rigid or so tight that it doesn't leave room for the unknown, the excitement, the new experiences that you don't know are out there. And again, it allows me to tap into the universe is always co creating with me. The universe always is in service of what I want and need for my highest good. And sometimes I think back and I'm like, oh, I didn't like that. But in the end, not in the moment, but in the end, I'm always like, oh, there was a beautiful lesson in it. Oh, this is why I needed to learn that. So again, thanks for letting me share. And I hope that you too have these incredible intentions for your life. And I hope that you too will be inspired to make adjustments and take the next step towards everything that you desire and want in your life so that you too can curate and create the life that you want. So till next time, bye for now.